Okay. All right. Today I'm gonna move into I'm gonna keep on rolling on this collection of notes thing. I still haven't got my cajon seat. It wasn't stolen, just to let not yet at least. But I just I forgot to press send. I think you know what happened is Amazon tried to upsell me on something, and I thought I was done with the purchase, but no, it was trying to upsell me, and then it backfired on them because I never completed the purchase because it snuck in this other screen asking me if I wanted something. But then the second time around, I did actually buy something else. so I guess it worked. But anyways, it's not here yet. I just have a pillow. But what was it? Anyway, I was gonna do this one now, and we were gonna do this. I was on, and last time I was doing the fifth, and so I'm gonna keep on going through that, imagining, working on my intervals, working on my shapes, working on. I'm even throwing in. The theory of special relativity as it relates to the fretboard, as far as I can tell, which isn't that far. I can't tell that far. My vision is not that far, but as far as I can tell, that's what I'm doing. I'll throw in some of that. Why not? And so, as far as I can tell, and unfortunately, it's not that far. It's very not far, as far as I can tell. Anyway, okay, so I'm just gonna noodle around for a bit just to get the coffee flowing through the veins, and then I'll go to the joke. That's my routine. The one or two people here, if anyone is here, they know the routine. So I don't know what I want to noodle around with when I start. Collection of notes. I was just doing a simple pattern of D. I'm thinking to myself in D Dorian, just sliding up to D Dorian, and just hanging out from here, and then pulling in the third, and then just with this pattern. Whoops. And that's a pretty darn simple pattern, but then you can kind of vary it, right? So that's all I was doing there. So then once I do that, I was like, okay, how can I vary the pattern without it getting too out of whack? How come this screen down here does not look right? My camera's shifted positions somehow. How do I? There. This one needs to be something like that. Okay. It's mejor. Mucho mejor. So if I just keep doing that. You can see when it goes too far out of whack, you're like, that didn't quite work, right? Because it's just like, all right, I went a little too crazy. So you got to find that spot where people are like, where your head's like, that was pretty, that still works. See, if I had my cajon seat, I could swivel. Got to get that cajon seat. That's a valuable product. If there's pirates out there, they're going to be looking for that one. They're going to be looking for a cajon seat that swivels. Get good big bucks on the black market for that kind of product. Obviously, if I can repeat that pattern anywhere there's a D, or I can repeat it on any other one. So I repeat it down here once I get bored doing that, going here to here, and then up to the third here, right? And then so if I was doing this up here. And down here. Alright. I feel like my camera angle is a little different today. Maybe I think I bumped it and now I can't get it. Anyways, that went a little long on that one. Let's try to do a joke, then I'll go into it after the break. I'm still on this thing with the court case and like the men competing in the women's sports, because I kind of feel like we were banned from like making jokes on this, or they like kicked you off of all the platforms. So it's kind of like you kind of have to at this point, because you got like a couple years and then AOC might be president over here in the United States, and we'll turn into Europe like overnight. So so you gotta hit the material while you can, otherwise it's gonna we're it could overnight you could no longer, they'll cancel you, right? You think the canceling's over, it's probably plus I'm trying to, now you got these AI images that let you do stuff you couldn't do before, like because they wouldn't let you, they somehow they got the woke stuff in the AI images, so they wouldn't let you make a funny image, but now they seem to be letting you do stuff, because I think what's happening is the AI people are competing with each other, and so it's like AI, like ChatGPT versus Gemini, and I think like Midjourney's like out of it now, and then you got Grok and stuff, and they're like, we can't be doing this woke stuff because no one likes it. That's why Disney went down. So we have to so now they're letting it fly. Otherwise China's gonna swoop in and beat us. So now they're like, now you can actually do stuff. It seems like, I feel like that's what I think, at least. Anyways, let's see. Do I have this set up properly? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right. Supreme Court case. Now, this is like kind of a generalization of all these things together, because there's a few cases happening right now where, again, they're kind of debating biology and whatnot. And so, but I kind of mix them all together in a pilot. I'm still making a joke on the idea that we need to eliminate the euphemistic language as well as French, French terms. Nothing against the French, but Europe is falling, even the French don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Because you got a garage, you got the restaurant, when you could just call it like a nice simple old English word, like a car hole and a feature face place, men and women, even that, let's just make it could you imagine like these court people going into court and the definition of like a woman was a pussy person, you got penis people and pussy people, and you're like, and they'd have to sit there and claim that they're a pussy person. Can you imagine? I feel like these people they got gall, but that would be a little, because then you can be like, well, based on the etymology of the term, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be an improvement. We got to get rid of the weird French words that no one can, not only can you not spell, but you don't know what they mean. And we need to get the euphemistic language, and then kind of like we need the anti-deconstructivist terminology, anti-euphemistic deconstructivist terminology. It needs to be as straightforward as possible. That's what I think that's what needs to, otherwise we're going to turn into Europe. You see what's happening in France. France doesn't even know what they don't even know what they're talking. I mean, anyways, whatever. This Supreme Court case asking whether men can play in women's sports, yeah, it's completely off the rails. We're not discussing fairness anymore. We're just observing the craziness happening in front of us. I mean, the plaintiffs walked up acting like everything's normal, and meanwhile, their whole argument is just face planting. Their whole argument is totally face planting. You know what I mean? And like, they're like, Your Honor, do you honestly think I should compete with the men after this face planting? And it's like, dude, you shouldn't be playing with men or women. You should be planted in the garden by the nut trees. That's your bracket now. That's your league at this point, for reasons that are both sociological and nut classification related. That's where Eventually, I'm thinking maybe we should stop face planting people altogether. Maybe that would be the solution. We stop face planting people, and maybe we should undo some of the botany that's already been happening. That could be a solution to the problem. But hold on. For now, let's put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that for now, okay? And by the time the face plant yanks the pin out, scrubs off the tree sap from the pinhole, slaps on some aloe like he's filming a sponsored skincare tutorial, and bandages the pinprick, then we should be ready to get back to this topic, okay? But we need to look. But for now, for right now, we've got bigger things to deal with, and this faceplant is not letting the Supreme Court do any of them. We're focusing all our time on this craziness because we keep on using French words that nobody knows what they're talking about instead of clear language. So that's why we have to stick a pin in it. Stick a pin in it for now, okay? And then that'll give us some time. So now the justices are divided. Half of them arguing constitutional law, the other half Googling, is it legal to prune a witness during oral arguments? Okay. So I was trying to think away. See, this whole topic lets you do images that are, see, you couldn't do it like an image with a flower on it before. You know, AI's getting better because there's not many images out there with a flower on you know what I mean? So that's not like they're trying to be woke. They just couldn't really do that before. So I wanted to try doing like something like that too. And this topic happens to be useful for that. So let's go ahead anyway. Let's see what Suno says on the song. That was a little weird, kind of an out there joke. Probably doesn't make any sense, but you know, that's the world we're in. All right. Let's see what Suno does with it.
The Supreme Court case is wild, man. It's flying off the rails. We're not talking fairness anymore, just the circus as it fails. They're walking straight-faced, acting normal, acting clean. Meanwhile, the whole foundation's falling apart at the seams. A giant dude in a dress throwing discus like a bomb. Tiny woman in the corner holding on like stay calm. And I'm sitting there thinking, what timeline are we in? Cause the logic hit the floor before the session could begin. Oh, the plaintiffs keep face planting, turning into flowers mid-argument ranting. Your Honor, look at me, how could I compete with them? Bro, you belong in a garden, not sparring with women. Planted by the nut tree, that's your lead, that's your sign. Not every face that blooms is a woman by design. For reasons sociological and nut identification, I'm starting to wonder if we need a whole new classification. Maybe stop face planting people, maybe fix the botany. Yeah, maybe reverse photosynthesize whatever's happening bodily. But hold up, wait a minute, let's put a pin in that. Cause every time we do the face plant, turns acrobatic, pulling out the pin, wiping sap off like a pro. Elu on the wound like he's filming a skincare show. Yeah, the plaintiffs keep face planting, turning into flowers mid-argument ranting. Your Honor, look at me, how could I compete with them? Bro, you belong in a garden, not sparring with women. Planted by the nut trees, that's your lead, that's your sign. Not every face that blooms is a woman by design. And now the court can't move, they're stuck in place. Cause the face plant's blocking every single case. Half the justice screaming constitutional law, the others googling softly like, can we prune him at all? The courtroom keeps face planning, turning into chaos with petals expanding. We've got bigger things to fix, but we can't begin cause the whole court freeze till we put that pin in. Planning by the trees. Let the flowers align, 'cause blooming on your forehead doesn't change the design.
All right, kind of funky. Suno helps me practice my drum rhythm. All right, let's see. Let's get back to it. I'm wasting time, man. You're wasting time. All right, I'm gonna get to learning the fretboard now. All right. Okay, so on the collection of notes around the key of C, low or heavy string on top to bottom on the fretboard layout, so I can line it up right over. I'm right-handed, by the way. I haven't mentioned that for a while. I just flip the guitar around so that you can hopefully see the fretboard right underneath the the Excel sheet, which is also has the low or heavy string on top, because that would be the thing to do that would make sense if everything didn't get crazy at some point, as far as I can tell. Something went crazy. Started using euphemistic language to teach guitar and music theory at some point as well. It infiltrated there. I'm going back to Pythagoras. Numbers, man. Numbers. That's how you do it, okay? All right. So we got the low or heavy string has the C 8th fret, first string down from the ceiling, back to the 5th fret, first string down from the ceiling. And I'm looking at the Mixolydian. This is what I would call shape number 1, or you might call it the Ionian G shape, or you might call it the Aeolian shape. We looked at from what I'm calling the lean or reach back position, meaning over the upper left quadrant of the guitar, which makes sense to think about when, again, if you flip the guitar around, right, the quadrants get messed up, right? From the position behind the guitar, you have the upper left quadrant defined by the third being up there. So the third of a Mixolydian is always Locrian. Locrian is always the third of Mixolydian. And then right above it, we have the 5th, which is going to be right above it. Not exactly a chord, but I'm just kind of trying to, because we don't really build a chord with the third back here too often. But if you wanted to play with that lean back, kind of reach back position, you could walk back to it. So I'm going to define the third in that quadrant. Okay, so then I'm going to say, okay, well then the 5th, how far away is the 5th? I'm concentrating on the 5th now. So the 5th is 4 modal half steps up. So 4 modal half steps from nodal point 5, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. So that would be Dorian. That means the Dorian is always the 4th modal half step, which is the 5th scale degree away from the Mixolydian, which has a distance of 7 notes, but that would be in the clockwise direction, down on the guitar, and we're going up on the guitar, therefore it's counterclockwise, therefore it's 12 minus 7, or 5-note distance between and there's 5 notes between the strings, so it's right above it. Okay, so now let's imagine that I want to move from the Mixolydian and I want to go down to the Dorian. So I'm playing in Mixolydian, I'm doing modal movement. I'm like Mixolydian and up, G Mixolydian. And I want to go to D, I want to go to G, Dorian. So now I want to make it a Dorian. Okay, so how can I shift my mindset to have the same tonic but make it the Dorian, dude? It needs to be the Dorian, dude. Okay, after the dishes are done, I'm playing in Dorian, dude. Dishes and done during Dorian, dude. Okay, so then we're gonna say, so what I can do is I can find the Dorian in the current collection of notes, which is, if I'm on nodal point 5, right, Mixolydian, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. It's 4 modal half steps up, which is the 5th scale degree up, which means it's 7 notes away. So I think the easiest location to find it is maybe on the top string first. So I could say, okay, it's going to be right above it because I know there's a 5th right above it. So that's where it is in my current shape. Where is it on the top string? Well, it's going to be 12 notes away from that. So it'd be -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So 10th fret, meaning Dorian's over here if I look at my octaves. So it's going to be out here. So cool. All right. Well, what position is that in the current shape that I'm in? It's currently, that would be, you might call this shape the Dorian shape, or you might call it an Ionian D shape, or you might call it position number 3. If you name this position number 1, then here's position number 2, and then here's position number 3 with the overlaps. So that's cool. If I know that shape, I'm like, that means that if I was playing it in like Dorian at the top, it would be like, okay, so it'd be like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. I'm not going to try to make this the 1 because that's stupid. No, I go 2 to 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. 2 to 2. Cool. So then I can just say, all right, well then, if I move that over here, that would be as though I'm playing this nodal point 5 like it was position number 3, top string, until I hit the kink in the tuning. So it'd be 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and then I hit the kink in the tuning, right? What, did I do that right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I hit the kink in the tuning. It would go back to here. Did I do that right? Let me see that again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. Yeah, I did that right. And then 2, 3, 4, and then 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. No, I'm getting mixed up here because I'm crossing. Well, let's just go till I don't cross the fault line. My head is kind of going already. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it's going to cross the fault line. So normally it would go back here, but it would be pushed up. So it'd be like 7, and then 1, 2, right? I think that's right. Okay. It should be right if my brain's not working. If I find it on the one above it right here, then I'm like, oh, I can find it within the shape that I'm in. So I'm in shape number 1. It would be the second string down in shape number 1. So now I can say, well, I'm going to pretend this string is the second string down of shape number 1. Doing that is the same as pretending it's the first or top string of shape number 3, as long as I accommodate for the kink in the tuning. So now I'm going to be like, well, if I was starting here on 2, like Dorian, D Dorian, Dorian, it would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. Now I'm going to bring that down here. Now it's G Dorian. So I'm thinking of that as the second string in position 1. 2, 3, 4, and then it would be 5, 6. And then again, this would shift up to 7 here. Okay, so then I think that's the general idea. Now, if I could do that with any other one, those are most likely the most common. But if I find it on the same string, let's try. I'm going to cut this and paste it here. So if I find it on the same string, then it would go up directly, meaning I find an open D on the same string here. That's currently in shape number 4. This shape's harder to see, though. You might call it an Ionian C shape or the shape, the Phrygian shape. But it would move up directly, right? Because now I can say, well, if I made this nodal point, if I just moved the whole shape behind up this way, then that whole thing would move up here. And again, so that would be like I'm playing in shape number 4 right here, right? So now I'm playing shape number 4, third string down from the ceiling, which means that if the third string down from the ceiling is Dorian, I'm playing leaning forward shape number 4, leaning backward shape number 3, and that shape is kind of the same as though I was imagining I was playing shape number 3, like that node was the top string, or as though I was playing shape number 1, as though this was the second string, as long as I accommodate for the kink in the tuning. Okay, I don't know if that, let me move this over and say new. I'm gonna try to map that out and show you what I mean in the full shape over here. Okay, so now I'm gonna do it this way. So I know this is kind of like I'm trying to see it from different angles, so it's kind of messing me up. I mean, it's kind of like I get out of whack on it too, but if I can see it from the multiple angles, then that would be beneficial. So now I've got fret 0, so E is nodal point 3, Phrygian. Note A, the A string, open A is 6 Aeolian, open D is 2 Dorian, open G is 5 Mixolydian, and then the kink in the tuning is represented by the shape of the fretboard now. So back here, the open B is fret 0, open B is 7 Locrian, and open E on the bottom of the guitar is 3 Phrygian. So this is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets up, 3 strings down from the ceiling. That's going to be a G, which is Mixolydian in the collection of notes around the key of C. Ionian or 1 is a C. Okay, so then I want to I want to shift that to the Dorian. How could I do that? Well, I might see, well, the Dorian is over here on the top string, so in this collection of notes. So, and if I played it over here, I can see that that would be shape number 3 because the box is like in the middle of the shape. So that would be shape number 3. So I can see this as though it's like shape number 3. So if I move this down like here, I'm like move it down, and then I move this over, so now I can say like relative to the red here, this is still the Dorian, right? Because this is still the Dorian on the 10th fret, and it looks like, and I would be playing from the top of the guitar closest to the ceiling down, shape number 3. But relative to the yellow shape, notice I can still think of it that way, as though this was like the top string and that was Dorian, right? I can ignore the strings above it as long as and then I can play the same thing, same pattern, until the kink in the tuning happens, because the kink in the tuning on the guitar, this whole thing would be shifted to the right. It's represented by it being shifted back here. That's where it gets messed up. But I can kind of envision that way. It's hard to do that because I think everybody, the way the mind works, we approach it one way. Like it's like in math where you're like, I know how to solve the problem from one direction, and then someone else solves it from another direction. And you're like, well, that's cool, but I know how I do it. So I'm just going to transfer what you do to what I do. You know what I mean? But it would be better if you could see it from the definition of actually knowing stuff in my mind is to be able to see it from multiple directions. So I'd like to be able to describe the same phenomenon just as logically from the different direction, right? From every direction, the more directions I can describe a phenomenon from logically, doesn't mean that I could just like make things up, because obviously I wouldn't be describing the phenomenon. But if I can get to the same logical conclusion from different paths, that's the definition, it seems to me, of learning it. So I'm trying to see it from different paths rather than just keeping going the same neural network in my mind, the same groove, always thinking of it going one way, because then I can't branch from there, right? I can't branch as easily if I only see one path. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, so if I put this back, I can also say, okay, where's the Dorian related to this? One, it's also right above it. So I'm in the shape I know. which is going to be shape number 1, or the Ionian G shape here. And there's a D, the Dorian is right above it. So if I shifted this whole shape down, then I can still see it as though, like from the perspective of the red shape, it's still like it's one node down, and I get this shape, which is the second string down from shape number 1. It's the same pattern relative to the orange shape, except now it's 5th fret 3 strings down. That orange is 3 strings down. So, but it still has the same pattern as though I was in the collection of notes around the red and it was 1 string down. So if I know that pattern, I can kind of say, okay, this would be like I was in shape number 1, but I'm in the 2nd string down, which is the Dorian, even though I'm on the 3rd string down in this shape, and I would end up seeing the same pattern. So what collection of notes am I in, by the way? Well, if I'm on, if this is the G, the Ionian is a node back from that. So that's going to be 2 frets back. So that's going to be a G, 2 frets back, is going to be an F, right? So we have, it's going to be an F collection of notes. We're in the collection of notes of F major, if you name it by the major, which would be a G Dorian, G Dorian. But it's better to name it by the major, because then you can have one one naming system for all 12 collections of notes instead of 12 times 7 collections of notes. You see, that would be easier. Now, if it was on the same string, here I could say, okay, the D is the 3rd string down from the ceiling, and if it's the 3rd string down from the ceiling and it's a Dorian node, whether it be a D or anything else, then if you lean forward from that node, it's going to be position number 4, or the Ionian C shape, the Ionian C shape, which is a little distorted because of the kink of the tuning down here, represented by the fretboard being distorted this way. So that could move directly. If I find it on the same string, then I could just directly move that over here. And now, again, relative to the red, that Dorian, I can play that G, that it's now a G, but it has the same shape as though I was playing the 3rd string down from shape number 4. But at this point in time, I'm playing the 3rd string down of shape number 5. It would be an Ionian D shape. Okay, this is shape number 4 still, shape number 4. Okay. It's just that this would be shape number 4 relative to the red. If it was back in open position, would be a D. It's still shape number 4 relative to the yellow, but it's a G, right? Okay. Oh my God. My head just is hurting. Let's go ahead and go back on over here and say, now, if the spaceship was moving at the speed of light relative to you, and you were in the spaceship, then everything would be normal. Like, you would be moving, and you can play ping pong in that spaceship as long as it's moving at a constant speed, and everything would be fine. Even though, from the perspective of like the person on the ground, you would be moving at a different your clocks wouldn't work the same. Okay. So let's say, if I did this, then if I made this node 5 a Dorian, what would be the Ionian? Well, here's the Dorian. It would be 1 modal half step back, which would be 2 notes back. So it would be a collection of notes. So it would be F. So I'm looking for a collection of notes of F major, and the whole thing should shift. So I'll go to my worksheet, which there's a link to, by the way, to make it an F. So if I made A1, then F would be 9, I believe. All right, F would be 9. So 9 is F if I just number the notes, because that's what we do, because we're going back to the basics, back to Pythagoras. We're making Pythagoras proud. We're using numbers, okay? Because Pythagoras was a numbers person, and then they betrayed the legacy and started using letters where numbers would be more properly. They like pretended like the letters were the ones doing the work, but no, it was the numbers that were really doing the work all the time. And then they were like, saying that that wasn't what's happening, like it was a letter, but no, it's a lie. The alphabet's nothing compared to the numbers. All right, so that means that the third to the Dorian is going to be a minor third, so I have to move that back because it's 3 notes away instead of 4. But we're working on the 5th, which is above it. Okay, so that makes sense. So what shape am I in now? So I'm on the Dorian. Where, like, I could say, well, where's the box related to the Dorian? One way I see the Dorian is like it's part of the 3 pillar, like meaning it's got the 3 notes that are in a row with nothing next to it. So it's the middle pillar of like the standalone pillar, you know, like you got like the pillars here. Like here's the 3. I call these the 3 pillars when I do the 3 strings per 3 notes per string shape, because you've got this, you know, these spaces between the pillars. But this is like the standalone middle pillar, you know, it's in the middle of the middle pillar. But you can also like name it relative to the box shape, Ionian's house. So to the left of the Dorian, it's 2 notes over, it's on the top floor of Ionian's house. And to the right of the Dorian, it's on the bottom floor of the Ionian house. Okay, so if I go to the right, then the bottom floor of the Ionian house is on the strings 2nd and 3rd string down from the ceiling, leaning back from the Ionian house. So the Dorian's leaning into the Ionian house. So that means that that's going to be shape number 4 whenever that happens. Okay, but if the Ionian house is on the 3rd and 4th strings down from the ceiling, that's going to be shape number 3. Shape number 3, you might call the Dorian shape or the Ionian D shape. Or just shape number 3. Shape number 4, you might call the Ionian C shape or the Phrygian shape, depending on whoever's, like, however you're thinking about it. And again, however you think about it, you're going to say, that's the best way. And then you get into arguments of like, that's the best way of thinking about it. Again, they're all logical. They have their pros. I get into that argument, like, what's the best name for it? Why do you just call it shape 3? That's totally generic, man. You should name it by the caged system. And it's like, okay, yeah, but the cage system the cage system's kind of a problem too, because then you're only naming it by the Ionian node. And what if I don't want to play in the major scale? That's not the only scale in the world, man. And then it's like, well, then you can name it by the top nodal point 3, but then you're not always playing it from nodal point 3. Like, you're not always playing Phrygian just because you're like in this shape, and it doesn't work for like this shape because you would call it the Locrian shape, but no one actually plays in Locrian for the most part. So that would be, do you see what I mean? That like each of them have like their pros and cons. So like, I don't know. I complain no matter what I'm an equal complainer. No matter what anyone calls it, I complain and be like, well, that has its problems. I'll just tell you that it's not the, you know, I'm not sure what is the best way, but I can tell you that the problems, no matter what you say, I will tell you. I will point out the problems. That's just how I work, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm looking for the 5th. So the 5th minus 1 would be 4 modal half steps up from the Dorian. So Dorian is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means nodal point 6, Aeolian, is the 5th. And that means that nodal point 6, Aeolian, is always it would be the 2nd modal whole step times 2 4th modal half step plus 1 5th scale degree away from the Dorian, which has a distance of 7 notes away, because it's always 7 notes away unless you're going from the Locrian, but 7 is clockwise or down on the guitar, and we're going counterclockwise or up on the guitar. Therefore, the distance is negative distance or counterclockwise, which would be 12 minus 7 or 5, and there's 5 notes between the string. That's why you go up and you get 5 right there. Boom. Makes perfect sense. So now we're like, I still have open strings I can play with. And I gotta reach way back here to get the minor. Alright. Let's now. Do I have time for another one? That took like forever. What if I go back to the I want to make this nodal point. I've been playing in Dorian, so I'm over here playing in Dorian. I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, I want to go back to Phrygian. I want to go back to Mixolydian. So now I want to make it a Mixolydian. Well, where is the Mixolydian in this collection of notes? Well, if I'm on nodal point 5, nodal point 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 3 modal half steps up, plus 1 would be the 4th scale degree. 4th scale degree has a distance has a distance almost always of 5 notes away. So it's a distance of 5 notes away, but I want to find it on the top 2 strings. So 12 minus 5 would be 7 notes away. So I could say, okay, if I go above it, right, there's going to be 5, negative 5, 4, 3. Wait, 3. Wait a sec. Negative 5, 6, 7. 7 notes away. There we go. Yeah. So here it is right there. But then I'm like, okay, but I want to find it on the top string. So I'm like, okay, there's like there. But I want to find it. So that would be 12. The octave would be up here, which would be negative 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So if I find it on the top string, I'm like, okay, it's right there. Well, the top string, what shape is that? On shape 8, that would be on 8, it would be going from Mixolydian to Mixolydian. So I could call it the Mixolydian shape, or I can call it shape number 5, or I can call it the Ionian A shape, Mixolydian to Mixolydian. I'm not going to renumber it. I'm going to play the Mixolydian mode for 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 to 5. Do I need to start at 1 to 7? Because I can't go around the circle because it's too hard. I can't go around the circle. I have to call it a 1. No. 5 to 5. 5 to 5. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How freaking hard is that? All right. Then you don't need another. You don't need 7 different numbering systems for crying out loud. It's ridiculous, people. So if I move that shape over here, that would be like, that means that starting here would be like I'm playing the Mixolydian shape top string, but over here, right? It'd be like as if that was shape number 5 or the Mixolydian shape if I wanted to bring it back. So it'd be like 5, 6, and then 5, 6, and then a 1, 2, 3. Wait a sec. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, something like that, right? Okay, so I think that's right. And then, well, what if I found the G right above it here? Well, then Well, I want to find it like in the shape that I'm in, like, or in shape number 1. Where's shape number 1? Here's shape number 1's over here. So if I find it on shape number 1, it's right there. Here's shape number 1, my rock and roll shape in the collection of notes around F is the D, right? So I'm like up here going 6 to 6, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But my 5th is right here, nodal point 5. So that means that, like, if I could just make that nodal point 5 the same as this one, then I can find it relative to shape number 1. So it's which works. It's right the same shape, right? So anytime. So that's it. So let's bring it back. Let's do it. Let's bring it back to that. I'm going to say this is a 4. So now we're back to the collection of notes around the key of C. So we have Ionian 8th fret, 1 string down from the ceiling, back to 5th fret, 1 string down from the ceiling, Aeolian, shape number 1, boom. And so there we have it. So now we're back here, and now nodal point 5, 3rd string down. If nodal point 5 is the 3rd string down, Mixolydian is the 3rd string down, that means I must be between shape number 5 and shape number 6, which you might call the Mixolydian shape and the Aeolian shape, or you might call it the Ionian. It's between the Ionian A shape and the Ionian G shape. And then that means that the 3rd is a major 3rd, which is going to be here because we know that nodal point 7 Locrian is always the major 3rd, 4 notes away from nodal point 5 Mixolydian. Okay. Everything is making perfect sense. I don't think it can be any more clear than this. Like, if you were moving in a rocket ship at constant speed of light, you could still be pouring your coffee and it wouldn't have a problem, but your clocks would be looking different than, like, if you were on a boat still moving at a constant speed, but like slower because you're on the ocean. It would be the same. It'd be just as good a place to pour your coffee, but the clocks would look different from the perspective of the person in the spaceship. I'm just going to noodle around for a while.
Thank